Hello, my name is Joe Kiney Whitmore. I'm here in my studio, and today this is the artist chair. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the myth of being fixed, in inverted commas, because it's something I've really struggled with. It's something I'm still struggling with. And so if you are the kind of person that thinks or tries to fix yourself with things outside of yourself, whether that is, drugs, alcohol, food, sex, porn, the gym, even being healthy or spiritual can be done in a bad way to try and fix ourselves, then this video is for you. And it's also a video for me because, as with all my videos, I'm trying to figure something out for myself as well as help other people. So really, I've always felt lost, that's my truth. I'm in recovery, which I've talked about before and I'll continue to talk about. And it was 5.5 years ago I stopped using drugs and alcohol to change the way that I felt. And I mistakenly thought that by getting rid of those things it would fix me, full stop. That would be game over, and well, I would have won the game. That's what I thought anyway. And really what has happened since then is, I've always been looking for something else to fix me. Whether it has been food, and I've tried every diet under the sun, whether it's the gym, I've done that obsessively as well. Whether it's porn, sex, relationships, not necessarily romantic relationships, but just relationships with people in general, people pleasing, just anything I've found really can be used negatively to try and fix ourselves. And I often say that I never really had a problem with drugs and alcohol. What drugs and alcohol were to me were my first attempts at solving my problem, because the real problem has always been and continues to be me, and if you feel a bit like that yourself, then keep listening. I've experienced a lot of healing over the last 5.5 years, and it's been far from linear. It's been far from glamorous. In fact, a lot of the time it has been incredibly painful. It's been raw. It's come in ways that I would never have expected, and that lost feeling which I talked about before has never really gone away fully. It's always been there, and it comes and it goes and it drifts in and out, and I think it's just part of the course, isn't it? Feeling lost more than not feeling lost. And so if it wasn't the food, the drugs, the porn, or whatever it was I'm using to try and fix myself, it was always something else. And I still have this kind of crazy idea in my head that I will find that one thing that will fix me eventually. I have an inkling now that there may actually be something out there which will fix me, but I don't think it's going to be what I expected, and I don't think it's going to be easy as I expect it to be. I don't think it's going to come quick, without struggle, without pain. I think it's going to be hard won. A couple of things that have really helped in my journey of learning how to accept where I'm up to, have been, well, the things that I never would have expected, really. Being of service and connection. It's true what they say about addiction. It's a disease of loneliness and isolation. And even when I was with people, I still always, well, not always, but often felt alone and isolated and different and other, compared to those people. So these days I really focus on connection. I've got a good group of people in my life now. I'm very fortunate to have a good relationship with my family now. And building those relationships has not been easy, and finding out who the good ones are for me has not been easy, but it's been worthwhile, and I really feel like connection is crucial, especially because we all feel like crap a lot of the time. That's the truth of it. Service is another thing that I talk about often, and service for me is about giving of myself unconditionally to help others without expecting anything in return. We live in a world now that prioritises self and selfishness, and pursuing personal goals, and that's all well and good on the one hand, but I think on the other hand we have to be willing to help others if we're able to, which I think everybody is really, regardless of your situation. We have to be willing to help others in some way, shape or form. And really, if we're going to talk about fixing myself, in my experience, and I know this is the truth for a lot of other addicts as well, I feel a lot more peace in my life when I'm not trying to fix myself, but I'm in fact trying to help other people. If you'd told me 5 years ago that helping other people was the key to helping myself, I would have laughed at you and told you you're full of rubbish. But actually, as it turns out, it is a pretty good way to, even though I'm not trying to help myself, it does help myself just naturally. Helping other people helps me to help myself. And really, yeah, nothing has fixed me, full stop. I mentioned all these things before, and some of them are good things, and some of them I think are just objectively bad things, like, I don't know. I mean, you could argue using drugs is an okay thing if you can do it sensibly, with friends every now and then. But I think for most people, using drugs is not a great thing to be doing with your time. I don't think using porn is good for anybody. I don't think sleeping around is really good for anybody. But there are other things like healthy eating, it's good for us. The gym is good for us. Physical activity is good for us. But the point I'm getting at is that none of these things in and of themselves have fixed me. They've all just been kind of really integral little pieces in my own journey as part of the puzzle, and I've been learning over the last few years how to slot them all in and how to best use these tools to facilitate my own sense of peace. So, to close, as always, this is a video to connect with other people who feel like this. I'm 5.5 years into my own recovery journey. I'm a few years into trying to make it as a full-time artist, writer, creative person, and it's a struggle. And so it's important for me to share where I'm up to, because I appreciate that I'm probably a few steps further along than some people. And if you're one of those people and you've got something from this, then yeah, leave a little comment, let me know what you think about it. Connect with me. I genuinely love connecting and helping other people. I mean that truly, and with absolute conviction. It's really one of the key pillars in my life right now is to be of service and help others and carry a message, a message of strength and hope and resilience, in times of adversity. Just to tie it all off, like, it is a myth, we're never going to be fixed fully, but there are certain practices and certain things that we can implement, which I'll continue to talk about, that do help with those feelings of isolation, desperation, loneliness, pain, feelings of inadequacy, mental health problems generally, addiction. All these things can be combated. And I think that's all I've got to say for today. So thank you for watching, and yeah, give it a subscribe if it says anything to you, and I hope to see you around again. Thank you.